It could be argued that I have quite an extreme music taste. I can easily go from Primus to Rush to Napalm Death. But one of my more favoured subgenres of metal is actually grindcore, a subgenre that often gets revered and written off for being brutality over musicality, which in some respect, yes it is, because it is a non-conformist musical movement, but also metal as a whole is. So I did kind of gravitate towards grindcore as a subgenre. So if you yourself are not necessarily into grindcore and you need some sort of recommendations, you've clicked the right video. This is a list of 10 entries that I personally feel are just really excellent entries in the grindcore subgenre, and I believe if you were to get into grindcore, these are good places to start. The thing that spurred on this video, by the way, is actually I was spinning the Grind Madness at the BBC, which is comprised of all the Peel sessions from all of the grindcore bands that went on this radio show back in the day. So bands like Unseen Terror, Carcass, Bolt Thrower, Intense Degree, and I just thought to myself, it's time to do justice to grindcore. So here we go. Let's go through this list. There isn't a particular order to this, but again, if any of these entries that I talk about tickles your fancy, just go ahead and try it and let me know how you get on with it. So the first band I want to talk about is actually Nausum. Excellent grindcore band here. There are a few different albums you could try for this band, but the one I would probably recommend is Inhale Exhale. I think it is a superb listen. As you can see, as common fare with grindcore, you can see 38 songs, 45 minutes in length. As you can see, the track listing does go all the way down to the floor with this, but that's by design. Short songs, to the point, aggression. That's kind of the main appeal of grindcore, getting straight to the punch. And this album certainly does that. I think this is an excellent one. If you didn't feel like this one is the one for you, then maybe try Helvete, if I'm pronouncing the name of it right. I quite like this one too. I personally don't think it's as strong as Inhale Exhale, and Inhale Exhale is the favourite of Nausum, I feel. I feel more fans gravitate to that, but whatever floats your boat. Next up is Brutal Truth, because of course it is. And there's only one album that I need to mention for Brutal Truth. It's a fucking masterpiece of an album, and that's Sounds from the Animal Kingdom. It's a fucking excellent album. It is, once again, it reaches 30 songs, but I will say, the runtime of this album is, honestly, it does actually fly by. Don't let the hour and 8 minutes deter you. But in that same breath, one of the appeals of grindcore is you have so many songs to choose from, and you have no obligation to sit through to the end of the album if you don't want. Like, the songs are super short. You can just sit through a minute-long song and be like, not for me. I'll try a different one. That's also one of the coolest things about this subgenre. But yeah, highly recommend this album. It's superb. Okay, next up, Pig Destroyer. First band that we're going over in this list that I've actually seen live and can personally say that they are fucking excellent live. Now, if I were to choose anything from the band's discog to go over, I'd probably say Terrifier. I've never heard of anyone who likes grindcore that's not enjoyed this album thoroughly. Also, if you're a bit deterred by the shorter song length, then this album has been trimmed down to 21 songs, so there are a lot of awesome tracks on here. I will say this album is a tiny bit front-loaded compared to my personal favourite Pig Destroyer album, which is Prowler in the Yard. But you can't really go wrong with either of them. But if neither of those do it for you, then Headcage is another strong bet, I feel. And also, if you are deterred by the shorter song length from grindcore, then maybe this is a better place to start, because look, 12 songs as opposed to the 35 or whatever. But yeah, you can't really go wrong with Pig Destroyer, I'll be honest with you. They're a pretty damn solid grind band. Okay, we're going for a left ball pick now. Slightly more niche, I will say, but another band that I've seen live and can attest to being an awesome band live, really fun. And that's Brat. Now, they only have one full length out, and when I say full length, I'm saying that very loosely because it's only 21 minutes. But I do think that Social Grace by Brat is an excellent listen. And again, it's only 21 minutes, so done and done. Very easy to sit through and just let it play. I do highly recommend this band. Truly, I think it's a great album. Okay, we're going to do Rotten Sound now because it's time. I think what is so fucking awesome about Rotten Sound is if you're a big fan of Swedish death metal, then you'll get on with this band, I'm pretty sure. Because though they are, on paper, a grindcore band with look at these song lengths. They have this Swedish death metal guitar tone that is just so cool. Like, it sounds like a buzzsaw, right? So like Entombed, Dismember, if you like that sounding guitar, I'm pretty sure you'll get on well with Rotten Sound. It's a great sort of entry-level grindcore album if you're into death metal, I feel. And that album is either Exit or Cursed. I would probably sooner reach for Cursed than Exit, but either one will do you fine. And yeah, excellent music here. Or noise, as Napalm Death would call it. Neither of them reaching the half-an-hour mark as well. So once again, like the Brat album, the album doesn't have that long of a runtime, so you can just sit through it and it isn't as much to commit to, right? Stupidly heavy, brutal grind. One of the heaviest entries on this list, even though grindcore is inherently heavy from the outset. Okay, Repulsion. We knew this one was coming. Now, Repulsion only has one release, but it is a legendary release, to say the damn least. Hey, that rhymes. Horrified. It's a fucking excellent release. It really is. It's iconic. It is a staple grindcore album. It's one of the most famous ones on this list here. This album is fucking excellent. Yeah, good stuff. Next, everyone likes Repulsion. I don't really need to fight its corner, to be honest. Right, Terrorizer. And of course, we're going to be talking about World Downfall, one of not just the best grindcore albums ever made, but one of the best albums ever made. Yes, that is a hill that I'm willing to die on. I mean, these other albums are okay too. I have reached for them before, but World Downfall is where it's at with Terrorizer, I'll be completely honest. It's fucking excellent. To name some songs in particular, if you don't want to listen to the full thing, Fear of fucking Napalm, man, or Condemned System, Resurrection is really good, Human Prey, Injustice, I don't know. I could name every song off this album, but this album in particular is great. It's just so frantic and, I want to listen to it right now. I want to stop this video and just listen to this album. Anyway, right, next. Okay, Napalm Death. Let's just get this one out of the way. So, Napalm Death has a very interesting discography because they aren't, though they did start out squarely in grindcore, they have kind of deviated to a groove metal fusion with grindcore. They've also done like straight death metal albums. They've done like this sort of death metal grindcore fusion. So I guess like death grind is what you'd call it. But all in all, there isn't much from the Napalm Death catalogue that you wouldn't really make a mistake on. I would say the albums that I personally enjoy of Napalm Death aren't the grindcore stuff though, which is not a popular opinion. But I sort of prefer the sort of Fear, Emptiness, Despair, Utilitarian, Harmony, Corruption, and those albums as more experimentally death metal leaning than grindcore. But if I were to recommend albums from this band that aren't squarely grindcore, then Scum, easily, or Enslavement to Obliteration, I guess. But if I were to find the best marriage of Napalm Death's death metal experimentations with their grindcoreness, I would say like Utopia Banished is really good because it is a sort of like in between the sort of Scum, Enslavement to Obliteration, to them more like Harmony, Corruption, Throes of Joy and Jaws of the Fetus. And like this album here, Utopia Banished, is kind of a good marriage between those two styles that Napalm Death has. But Napalm Death is just such an excellent band that you can't really go wrong with any of their releases, I'll be completely honest. There are some that I like more than others, obviously, but you can't really go wrong. You can't talk about Napalm Death without Carcass. Carcass is another band like Napalm Death that has deviated from their grindcore roots since their inception. So for that reason, since Carcass is definitely mellow death nowadays, I will not be recommending Heartwork and Surgical Steel and Necroticism, despite the fact that those albums are amazing. They're not grindcore. But what I will fucking recommend is Symphonies of fucking Sickness, because oh my lord, is it an amazing fucking grind album. And maybe by this point it's also slightly more death metal than grind. I'm going to recommend this album anyway, because Symphonies of Sickness is just that good. But I will not, however, be recommending Rika Putrefaction. I think that the production on this fucking album is butt sauce, and you can do better. But the songs, in theory, are quite cool, I guess. Maggot Colony is quite good, Feticide. But, again, Rika Putrefaction, pooey production. Definitely recommending Symphonies of Sickness over Reek. There you go, Carcass. Out of the way. Ticked off. And as we are on the 10th entry on this list, it's time to talk about Disrupt with Unrust, another absolutely iconic grind album, just like, well, Downfall, or this album is often compared to the Repulsion album I talk about, Horrified. This one is just equally as iconic to listen to. I don't think as strong as Repulsion for me, but excellent in its own right. I think that it is a fucking superb listen. It's just so aggressive, and yeah, it's really good. But there you go, that has been 10 recommendations of Grindcore. Now, I could have mentioned more Grindcore that ended up on this release here, like Extreme Noise Terror, which I also very much recommend, but that's for you to explore. I've shown you this, I've shown you some of these recommendations. You make up the rest for yourself. Carve your own path of Grindcore if it's something that you think that you enjoy. But that has been me talking about Grindcore and all the awesome things that you can find in this subgenre. But that'll do it from me. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.